Welcome to AIL TV. This evening, I have got two distinguished people. I call them community leaders. They work in Haringey community. They understand what Haringey is. You ask them anything about Haringey, they will tell you. But most importantly, last week, was it last week or a couple of days ago? We lost our...
2 weeks now.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, thank you for correcting me. 2 weeks ago, we lost one of the greatest guy in the community, is Dougie Williams. Am I correct by saying so?
His name is Douglas Williams, but he's better known as Brother Dougie.
Okay. We call him Brother Dougie. Now, Sonja, Camara, and James B.
Yeah,
they have worked with him tirelessly, and they have worked with him on so many projects. I am actually a newcomer to that. I'm just going to hand over to Sonja Camara and James B. Please, guys, take it away. Whoever wants to start, not in any particular order.
James B start, because James is leading it.
Right. Okay. Well, we're here, obviously, to pay obvious respects to a great community champion, and Brother Dougie has done so much work in so many different areas, whether it was health, wealth, relationships. He was always about connecting people in the community, particularly people of African and Caribbean heritage. I mean, he worked across with other communities, but his focus was working with African and Caribbean communities. And he really, gave his life, so to speak, trying to inspire, to inform, to educate, and also to bring people together, more importantly, because that was one of his mottos. He was about bringing people together, healing, because in the last couple of months he took on mental health, because he thought that was an issue in our community. He also took on parenting, because if you look at the issues that are happening in our community now, he felt that he should take on parenting. He connected with so many different organizations, because if he couldn't do it, then he would access the people who could. He will call on the people who could. He will reach out to the people who could. And he always wanted to have an understanding as to how a particular thing should be done. He was a very good listener in that regard. I remember one time he had asked me to be on a panel to do with relationships. And I said, Brother Dougie, I don't know, I'm not doing anything about relationships. I didn't really want to do it. And he said to me, Brother James, you can do it, man. Don't worry about it. You just go there, say what you have to say, and you will get some inspiration from the other panelists. And in saying that, he then tapped me on my shoulder, and I thought, well, okay. Then I saw that as a sign of leadership, in terms of encouraging someone and motivating someone to do something that they don't have confidence in. And I have to say that I took my hat off to Dougie in that. And also when he led the campaign against Paddy Power, because he was concerned about the proliferation of betting shops in Haringey. And Paddy Power wanted to take over an iconic shop known as Body Music. And he joined forces with the council, because the council had turned down Paddy Power. Paddy Power took it to the inspectorate, and they kind of overturned it. Then the Haringey appealed it, and Dougie supported the campaign. And that's when I saw Dougie real leadership skills come out. He called on David Lammy, the local councillor. He called on many people, the local press, and he galvanized the community. And through that pressure of the community, that thing was overturned. So that's when I really saw the true leadership qualities of our dear Brother Dougie.
Okay, Sonja, Camara, what is your recollection of Brother Dougie?
Well, it's pretty much exactly the same as what James B's shared. Everything that James has said, as in a community organizer, a community fixer, a community networker, and somebody who was quite comfortable getting involved in topics that probably people didn't want to talk about. You know, he highlighted mental health, he highlighted prostate cancer, he highlighted, James has just mentioned, the betting shop. And these are all topics that are controversial because there is a lot of individuals from our community who are unfortunately part and parcel of the mental health system, who are probably in the betting shops, and who are men who have not been taking care of themselves when it comes to health and well-being about prostate. And he did partner with the specialists. So he wasn't guessing about mental health. He worked with people that understood mental health. So he brought something more to the conversation. And the same goes, as James has just said, for the betting shops, the same goes for mental health and for parenting. He delivered a wonderful parenting program with Yvonne Lawson Foundation. I mean, Godwin?
Yeah, Godwin, yeah.
Godwin, sorry, not Lawson, excuse me, yeah.
Is it, I think it's Lawson, I think you're right.
It is Lawson, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I thought so, sorry, I got that wrong. I think it was Lawson, yeah. Her campaign, a young mother who lost her son to knife and gun crime. But rather than just looking at that, I mean, we know it's a negative and a charity. It's a charity that's actually bringing solutions to other parents through parenting. And we did a fabulous job hosting that and galvanised people. I think we all agree, Buzzing B and the wider audience, Brother Dougie really was a magnet for individuals from all sectors of the world, really.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I agree with you.
Can I just ask a question, just very simple?
Mm-hmm.
You know, as you know, many of our people who are doing this job, they don't have any help. They don't have any support. How did Brother Dougie manage to do all these things? Did he have any help from the council or just by his will and his might?
Well, I have to say that Dougie was, I've known Dougie for over 35 years. I first met Dougie through, I remember when he used to do his posters, and then we used to go to these meetings because we were learning about our culture and politics, around connecting with the continent, but also in the Caribbean, and what in terms of our status here in the UK. And Dougie, once I think in one of his interviews, he did say that he discovered about the plight of Black and African people, and in terms of what has to be done politically. And he said he was moved by reading a book by Malcolm X, and he said he cried when he read that book, and that's when he knew I have to do something about it. And he set up a group organization called Find Your Voice, because it was about finding your voice. And he set up that organization, with a few pennies in his pocket. And he sold his posters. He found many ways. He did fundraisers. He did dances. He did it as an entrepreneur. He never one day asked for funding from anybody for all these years, not one penny. And whenever people suggested that he go for funding, he was a little bit he was a bit reticent in going forward for funding, but he then began to have events where they would pay at the door, he would have stalls. So it was like an entrepreneur. He pretty much self-funded it. And the people he couldn't pay, he would call on the community to give their skills. So if he's having an event, there were people who would donate their skills to, whether it was filming, whether it was an event coordinator, whatever skill you had. And because it was community orientated, lots of people in the community and from abroad, because he used to bring speakers from the United States. Dr. Leila Africa, he brought Asaya Seti, he brought speakers from America, and he would find ways in which, by paying at the door, the stalls, and he would pay them. But he had a group of people who were dedicated to what he was doing because they believe in the change that he believed in terms of rising and doing something in the Black and African community. And people really give their time and their talents to what he was doing.
So Sonja, you organize events within the community. How difficult is it, or what are the challenges you find even putting on an event where you don't have resources, but you need to bring people together to do things. Brother Dougie actually did it. But I want you to talk about what are the challenges that you yourself have faced in doing so?
Well, I think James can agree. We've been organising events for over 30 years.
Yes, we have.
This community events.
Yeah.
For a very long time. We've done all sorts of things. In fact, it was only the other day when James, you know, JB reminded me of the businesses that we've worked with that I'd forgotten about. You know, he just said, oh, do you remember when we popped up here, when we did this? Do you remember when we did that? Remember when we did, you know, it was a long conversation, and half the things what James reminded me, I'd forgotten about. And that was just after we'd paid the tribute to Brother Dougie in the Voice newspaper, because we were reflecting on when we first had a conversation with George Ruddock, and we worked out it was over 20 years ago, the first time when we were working with individuals for the community. But event organising in the community, from my personal perspective, has always been something that we managed to deliver because we actually get community members to take responsibility for themselves. We like to work with business owners, we like to work with entrepreneurs, we like to work with keynote speakers and encourage them that you are your product, so you should invest in your product. You know, and we've been quite inventive, where we've gone and found some really great business partners, actually. Now I look back on it sometimes, I just wonder how we managed to pull that out of the hat. But we've done it, and I think it all boils down to the team. What I've learned over the years, it is really crucial who you work with. You know, your team is really, it's so important. You know, who's got the skill set, who has the skill set, wants to share it, who wants to learn new things, who wants to share their contacts, who actually knows they're not very good at doing something and can admit to that and let somebody else lead. It is about all of these things that if you can capture that and galvanize that, then putting on events that can benefit yourself and the wider community is definitely an adventure.
Okay, so now you know we are in the time COVID-19, which has caused a lot of chaos. Everything is at a lockdown now. What would be the best way of remembering Brother Dougie? Because if when it is lifted, or if is at the burial arrangement still in are they still arranging the burial?
Oh yeah. Well, to my knowledge, so far I had conversations with the family. I'm in deep connection with the family because I've myself and Camara have set up a group to pay tribute, a WhatsApp group to pay tribute to Dougie and to get ideas in how we should do it in light of this lockdown, you know, with the COVID-19 situation. And today I have, today the 17th, I got confirmation that the funeral will be on the 6th of May.
Okay, so 6th of May. Mm-hmm. Is there any arrangement whereby people will congregate to?
Yeah, well, obviously there will be no, because of the particular situation that we find ourselves in. Obviously, there will be no congregating because, you know, the funerals are limited. I think between 5 to 10 people. I think it is 10 people.
No, I think it's 6 now.
It's 6 now, so
yeah.
That is reserved for family, obviously. But people will be hosting different events while the funeral ceremony and so is taking place. You know, once I've confirmed the timings of that, then people will be able to organize online tributes and so forth for the whole day while that is going on.
Yeah, I think that just picking up on what James has just said, I believe one of the ways that we can continue to truly honour Dougie is to literally pick up the baton for a lot of the projects he was involved with. You know, when you've got an individual that's really been active, proactive, getting on with it.
Sonja, pull back a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Active. When you've got somebody who's been so active and proactive and has been involved in lots of community projects, one of the ways that you can truly hold a legacy, continue to support a legacy, is to actually pick up that baton and continue the great work. So who will step into the shoes now to work with the foundation, looking after young people and parenting? Who's going to speak to our men, our husbands, brothers, lovers, uncles about prostate cancer? Who's going to be talking about mental health? Who's going to be putting on fairs around health and well-being? Who's going to be doing about wealth structuring? All of these things are topics that are still relevant, prevalent in our community today. So, you know, when you're honouring someone, it would be great that we value their contribution, to truly value their contribution. We don't let that legacy die. We continue to keep it going, because if you think of the effort, I mean, we all know what it's like, the effort to get things going, you know, to start something, to design it, develop it, to then deliver it, and then it doesn't work, or it's just left there, to me would be a little bit wasteful, actually. I think that...
You're not cutting you, Starwood. I think that Sonja, from the group that we set up, the tribute group, there are lots of ideas that has come about. Some are talking of a blue plaque, some are talking of a bench in the park, some are talking about memorializing his work, probably in some sort of archives that people can see the work that he done. My idea is about having a Zoom memorial series where people from the community can come in and say the things that they want to say. We were thinking about having the different themes that he represented in terms of the wealth, the relationships, even the radio, because he did a weekly radio broadcast as well every Tuesday. And that was that was the hub in which he connected with the community, and a lot of ideas were generated there, and that Find Your Voice lends support to all the ideas that he was doing. So that's one of the ways that I want to remember my friend, my brother, and my radio colleague, Brother Dougie. I want to remember him through that, but you know, to represent what he really was, you know, the voice of the community, because his organization was called Find Your Voice. And he gave a voice, and he lent a voice to so many ideas, and to so many people, have got so many testimonies. So that's one of the ways that I want to memorialize Brother Dougie. But he also wanted to start up to do a book, because he was pretty much into relationships. And we were going to get a list of authors, and I was going to be the lead, I was going to be the editor, the general editor for the book, because I do book edit. I'm a book editor as well, and I was in charge of that project. But sadly, you know, the project wasn't to be. So I'm also even thinking about taking that on in terms of completing that project in his memory as well.
I think that
maybe another suggestion maybe could be if we could actually get in touch with the artists within Haringey, just to do a portrait, you know, paint a picture, a gigantic one, and put it somewhere like a Chestnuts or Marcus Garvey Library. Do you think that sort of thing is possible?
Yeah, I think that would, because I've been speaking to some people who knew Dougie, like Sonja, you know, Des who took part in the flavor showcasing, international flavor showcasing. The UK side of things, and Des, he was a rapper who participated in a competition and placed in a competition, and I saw him the other day, and he was so shocked that he didn't, you know, he was almost inconsolable, and he said he's going to do a tribute to Dougie. So I'm just waiting to give him the information, to give him a, you know, like a profile of Dougie. He said that he's going to do a rap song in honor of Brother Dougie.
Yeah. So a tribute track, I think, is wonderful.
Yeah.
I think is also wonderful. But if we just think about the man was a man who was a doing man. He was an action man. He went and he actually did things. So all the tributes, all the murals, all the songs, all of that, I think is fabulous. But if we can actually bring along our young people where, you know, Buzzing Bee, you're in education, You know, if we have some sort of an educational program around Black history, which is dedicated to Brother Dougie as a community involving person, you know, that's something as well that, because he got involved. I think that's the bit that for me, I always will always remember he got involved. So he wasn't one of these people where he's not missing. You knew where he was. He'd be at the event. He'd be hosting the event. He'd be asking questions. He'd be bring some chairs out for me. You know, so all of that, because he was an active member of these events and the events that he organised himself, I think something that meant we had to do something would also be good. I like the tribute. I think one of the things, because he liked music, what would be nice as well, maybe we had a tribute concert for him. So we had an event that highlighted some poetry, some music, some testimonials, you know, an evening for the community to find their voice in honor of Brother Dougie, where people can really show their creativity and organizational skills. I think would be quite spectacular.
That would be fantastic. You know, one thing that I realized with Brother Dougie, he was everywhere. And you wonder, how did he find out about all these events? You remember, Sonja, you and Nicola, you were doing this thing at the Marcus Garvey.
Yes.
And then the guy comes up, and
we got him in front row actually asking questions. Yeah, yes.
So he's always asking the right questions. And if he's not asking the right questions, he's actually giving advice or comments that really made sense. So that tells you that this guy knew his community.
Yes.
He knew what is going on. He knew what was going on where, you see.
Yeah, that's so true. And I forgot about that. That's a nice, he's asking a great question. That's a nice clip. We should, when you guys put it together, the tribute.
Yeah, I have got a couple of clips. You know, I didn't want really to jump into these things. You see, for me, I like to think methodically what the best to do. You see, I think as you realize now, maybe this is the start of our tribute to Brother Dougie. We would like to have like 20 people on Zoom. Yeah, I know we can accommodate that. Yeah. So let everybody just say their piece, or if they come with a photo and stuff like that. Yeah. So it would be a fantastic thing to do. And especially, Sonja, what you're suggesting, this concert, it has to be organized, but we need to start now.
Yeah, yes. I think so. A nice tribute concert, when I think about a tribute concert, that'd be right up his street. That was something I believe he would truly appreciate, get involved with, enjoy, you know, and we could get, and you know, we've got so much talent in our community. I mean, bursting talent, poets, we have the Return of Your Griot, you know, we've got the Shola, the spoken word. It is honestly and truly infinite.
Yeah.
Honouring Brother Dougie, I believe, would be something, honours him, remembers him, but what it does, it shares the contribution that he's made to the community.
Yeah. Let me ask you just one question. Sorry, James, I know you will come in.
Yeah.
You know, Dougie seemed to be a cool guy, calculated person. Do any of you remember him being vexed or angry about anything? Or argumentative with anyone?
No.
Sorry, you want to go first?
No, I've never seen him angry. I mean, for me, I've seen sometimes when things can get a bit heat, but he's a reasoning man, you know, he's going to reason it out no matter what it is, you know, and I have seen that, but it's not going to be no fists at dawn. It's going to be, no, let's reason about this, you know, literally. It's going to be a conversation. You know, after all,
I definitely concur with and agree with 1000%, because I've known Dougie for all these years, and I said to people, Dougie and I have worked on several projects and several things, and Dougie and myself have never had a heated ever. It's like Sonja said, he always wanted to reason things out. I've seen situations where people really got him angry. Dougie would roll his eyes because he was good at that, and somebody was a chairman, and he would walk away from because he couldn't understand why couldn't people reason things out. That was one of his frustrations as to why people couldn't reason things out.
No, that's true. He was
So
he
he
would
was the
reason
kind
it
of, he
out.
was a reasoning person. He loved to reason.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that's kind of his trademark because you know you're going to get into it with him. You know what I mean? But
Yes.
you're gonna have a conversation.
Yeah.
But I think it's a beautiful gift to have, and
Yeah.
sometimes you know when you reflect on things, it's something that is definitely a positive trait in that we could all learn something from. Where you take something from the smooth handle rather than the rough handle, you know, for peace.
Mm, mm. Yeah, because some of the ideas that were mentioned were things like I think someone mentioned about doing a documentary on his life as a community person, so that people can look back in, you know, into generations to come to say that he was a pivotal person in the community who was well connected to his community. So that idea is floating around as well.
That's
Of
a
course,
nice
the plaque
idea.
and the bench and the book. There are lots of ideas that are coming up. But I would like to really, in terms of my contribution, is to organize a Zoom tributes and have people to you know, to bring the voices of the community together to memorialize a person that they held in high esteem.
Yeah. Oh, well, the beauty of what you just described, that's doable, it's possible. You know, and we're working with Joseph at ARTV now, so it's even more possible, you know, to organise it properly so people can get involved.
Yeah.
But do believe the key to it is, and this is one of the things that we have to remember, even when we're living in these COVID-19 times, if we think about the times we're living in now, we have self-isolation, you've got people high anxiety because it's really worrying for a lot of people. Don't know literally where the next meal's coming from. Some people don't have a roof over their head. Some people don't have a job. You know, you have all of these situations that are real, where some people don't have networks, family, community. They don't have any support. But what's really brilliant, you know, that we have a community that are engaging, you know, who are sharing and talking about Brother Dougie, just shows you how much he was held in that really high respect, you know. And I think that's really the testament, to be honest, that of the way people have lived their lives.
So basically, I mean, with the departure of Brother Dougie, this thing actually caught people by surprise because nobody expected. Nobody expected this kind of thing to happen. And also, it is good that I can't see people speculating that, oh, the guy is had problem with COVID-19 and stuff like that, because we don't know. We don't know what kind of illness that he had, because Doug is the person that is an open guy. He probably he would not even concern himself with his ills and stuff like that. What do you think?
Well, I don't know the reason for. I don't know. I have no idea the reason for, sadly, that he.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm saying that it is
But I
good
think
that people
community.
there is
Yeah, but what I'm saying is community speculation is not helpful. In fact, to be honest with you, it's quite damaging. And it's not necessary, because a situation like this, we understand COVID-19 is everywhere, but actually it's not everywhere. You have sometimes people who are passing away for other things other than COVID-19.
correct.
And it's wrong for anybody to speculate, to be honest with you, because what that does, you know, the speculation actually raises up the tensions with other people as well.
yes.
You know what I mean? It can be very, very, very damaging to individuals' mental and well-being.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that because of the situation that we happen to find ourselves in, people are preoccupied with almost every death. The question is always asked, is it that? It might be a legitimate question, but it should not necessarily lead to speculation to say that that's what it is, because it's a kind of times that we live in. So human nature, people might wonder, well, is it that? But like Sonja said, it doesn't help to further that down to speculation if you don't know, or then begin building rumors, and you know, and then it kind of will get out of hand when you don't know what the facts are. Because if you don't know what the facts are, speculation doesn't help anybody, because speculation is not a fact. So where are you going with it?
No, you're right. And I was just thinking the other day, I was listening to the radio and they said 40 years ago, they were highlighting that 40 years ago, it was the AIDS epidemic, when everyone was saying had AIDS, you're going to get AIDS, remember?
I remember that.
Some ridiculous figure, millions of people, they said, have died of this virus and disease. And I was thinking, well, you know, at a heightened time of AIDS, people weren't going around to everybody saying, oh, what, did they die of AIDS? You know what I mean? You've got to put things into perspective. But what you do have to do, you have to have respect for the individual and the family.
Of course, more importantly.
This is crucial. You need to have respect for the family.
Yes.
And sometimes I find that people can be a little bit insensitive. And I honestly mean that. And I'm not sure if it's deliberate or what, but this insensitivity is very painful. Yes. Very, very painful.
Yeah, I do agree. I do.
Not productive.
What we are going to do now, we have got only 2 minutes to wrap up. Probably each one of you has got a minute actually to, you have said what you have said. It's just now to come up with an idea of the next tribute, because we need really to do this. I could do this every day, you know.
Yeah, well, for me, it's about getting other people on board, maybe people who work in radio with him, and we can do a thematic something, and we can have people who probably went to school with him and did different things with him, but just to show the broad spectrum of the man that Dougie was, by getting people who was connected to him in different ways.
Yeah, and I'm happy to support you with whatever you're doing, James. You just have to let me know. I'm here at your service. It's no problem. But in between that, I will continue to honour his tribute and get out there and try and support some community.
Yeah, just thank everyone who've contributed to the idea so far. Yeah,
definitely. Everyone who's contributed and actually made a contribution and followed it up, because sometimes the follow-up is difficult. And that includes yourself, Joseph, for actually taking the time to host the event for us.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely.
Because it is about the team. You know, the dream really is the team that makes the dream, and we need to remember that.
Yeah, just thank Air TV for this.
I am a community man, and also you have to remember this. Not because I am talking with you, but I like to work with serious people. If anyone is not serious, I really don't have time to waste. You know, you can see now my hair is white. So I don't have much time really to waste. So you guys, you are very serious people, and I think for everything that we have discussed here, I can see it will happen, especially when we have Sonja and James. You are organizers. You are good.
Absolutely.
Go get it like Dougie was.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am waiting for this concert, man. I can always see, you know, I've got this thing called mental TV in my head.
Yeah.
Images I can see.
I like that.
Yeah, yes. So, guys, we have to stop here.
Okay,
thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Part of it.
Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you so much, Joseph. Okay, BB, take care.
Okay, Sonja.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.